All right, everybody, and welcome back to episode number 29 of Show Choir Nation, the flagship podcast of the Homeroom Show Choir Podcast Network. I am your host, William. Alongside me is my guest host for tonight, Tay. And Tay, the sun is still out, at least where I am. The days are getting longer. Things are looking up.
Same here. It is light outside of my window. And yeah, it's all good. Oh, all sunny and nice.
So many competitions to get into from this past weekend. Just a quick note, if you are looking for Mount Zion Midwest Invitational recap coverage, that is not going to be tonight. That is going to be Wednesday night. So mark your calendars, another special edition, Wednesday night, Mount Zion Midwest Invitational recap. All of the thoughts, perhaps some opinions, and whatnot that Ethan and I have from spending a couple of days out Mount Zion. We will have them on Wednesday night. Also, starting off the show with something not specifically competition related, but certainly something show choir related. In the city of Davenport, Iowa today, it is Central Singers Incorporated Day, March 10th, celebrating Davenport Central's undefeated season. They went to 4 competitions and they won every single one of them. This is the last year for choreographer Andy Haynes, who is retiring from show choir choreography at the end of this season. So just a great, great season for Davenport Central. They actually unofficially wrap up their season tonight in a non-competitive context at the Davenport Show Off, which is just a really cool, really unique event where all 3 high school show choir ensembles or programs, I guess, from the city of Davenport, Davenport Central, Davenport North, and Davenport West all come together and all share their shows for a local audience. I'm not sure what the start time is on that right now, but certainly a great day to be in Davenport. We will touch on Davenport West a little bit later on in the show as well. As always, if this is, go ahead.
That's very exciting. And it's really cool to have like your own day for like choirs. And is it like a showcase or is it like a comp?
Yeah, it's a showcase. So you have the 2 Davenport Central groups, you have CSI and Blue Vibrations, you have the 2 Davenport North groups, Northside Establishment and Center Stage, and then you have the 2 Davenport West groups, West Connection and Harmonics. So they all just get together and share their shows, and it's a great time. Starting off with competitions from this past weekend, we are going to start in Metro Omaha at the Lewis Central Clash of the Titans competition. This one, very, very interesting. Millard West, West in the Groove, Best Choreography and Best Band and the Grand Championship. Gretna Revolution, first runner-up and Best Vocals. Second runner-up, Papillion La Vista South Titanium. Third runner-up, Lincoln East Express. Fourth runner-up, Sioux Falls Jefferson Legacy. And 5th runner-up, Millard South, South on Stage. And we welcome to the show my co-host, Ethan Parker. Happy Davenport Central Singers Incorporated Day.
Yes. Happy I finally could be here. Of course, long weekend. Ran a little bit late, but I'm glad you guys were able to get started without me. Where are we at? Catch me up.
Thoughts on Lewis Central results?
Lewis Central results. Huge win by Millard West. Coming into this, I believe I had them in the 1 spot or 2 spot. I knew they could make that jump. Gretna, of course, has been a beast all season. So seeing them get a top 2 placement here, of course, is no surprise. And correct me if I'm wrong, Will, is this the end of the Lincoln East versus Gretna showdown of the whole year?
This is the end.
It's kind of sad.
All 4 times.
It's kind of sad. I hate to see something like this kind of end.
Well,
I know that
they could do it again next season.
They can. And I know they probably see each other at like all these competitions, and that friendship definitely has grown over the course of this competition season. But yes, amazing competition. Congrats to Millard West in the groove.
Tay, anything that you want to add about this competition?
So I'm an indie show choir girl, of course. This is so like out of my comfort zone, but I did watch a bit of West in the Groove, and their show looks so good. as they walked out on stage, I was like, their costumes are amazing. And also, they got first with best choreography. Usually in Indy, we're used to seeing grand champs always get best choreo and best visuals, or if they're first, they usually get like best choreo if there's a caption split. And it's really interesting to see a choir get best choreo and be in first. But yeah, their choreo was spectacular. Absolutely loved watching them. And yeah, they deserve getting first. They did awesome.
A couple other notes for me as well, just kind of talking about this one. Papillion La Vista South, really good placement for them. I know this, hasn't really been the season that they perhaps would have wanted it to be. So a quality win over Lincoln East, who I think a lot of people had thought would be a step above them heading into the competition. Sioux Falls Jefferson as well, finishing fifth, outpacing Millard South, who was a very, very solid group so far this year. A couple of down card results in the women's division. Millard West Uptown, all three major captions ahead of Papillion La Vista South, Titan Radiance, and Lincoln East Elegance. And in the prep division, Gretna Evolution taking the win over Millard West Swing Cats and Papillion La Vista South Titan Express. Although Lewis Central is in Iowa, let's be real, it was, for all intents and purposes, a Nebraska competition. Nebraska just has one more left. That is the Millard North Galaxy of the Stars this weekend. And it will feature a few of the choirs. It will feature Millard West. It will feature, let me pull up my lineup here because it's not on the show sheet. But for the vast majority of these groups, that is the season, the Nebraska groups at that competition, Millard West, Pius, Ralston, and Norfolk. And then special visitors, Ankeny Centennial and Keller Central. So interesting mix at Millard North, just something to keep an eye on. We unfortunately won't be covering it later on in the podcast, but we will see quite the interesting lineup there. Moving along to Ohio and the Marysville Showcase, the results of this one. Fairfield Choraliers, best vocals and best choreo alongside the Grand Championship. Waubonsie Valley Soundcheck, second place. Chesterton Sandpipers, third place. Olentangy Keynotes, fourth place. Beaver Creek Friends, fifth place in the single gender finals. Fairfield Pure Elegance, best vocals and best band. And the win, Chesterton Drifters, best choreography and second place. Olentangy She Notes, third place. Ethan, Fairfield has 3 wins this year. That is the most for Fairfield since 2019. They closed their season by hosting this weekend.
Yeah, and they got one of those wins against me. That was one of 1 year's. Fantastic show that year.
Back when I was at Twinsburg.
No, it was at Andover. It was at Andover. Yeah, we met up in New England, which was kind of a weird little thing that happened there. Love that it happened. That was an amazing show back in 2019. Truly one of one. When they go to space and the astronauts came out in the glow in the dark suits, it truly, go check it out. An amazing show. However, this year, wow. We say this all the time, or at least I do. This Ohio scene is just changing every single year. You never really know what's gonna happen when you go into it, besides maybe a little few factors. Fairfield was one of those question marks kind of coming in. Them and Loveland were kind of in the same boat, so to say. So to see them get a really quality win here at Marysville is huge for them, especially a sweep. A sweep does a lot for your confidence. So very happy to see that. And I have to shout out Waubonsie Valley. I mean, yes, my Illinois choir. This could be somewhat of a resurgence year for Waubonsie. I know they took 4th place. I think they lost to groups like Wheaton North, Lafayette, Jefferson, and Sparta. I feel like that too was at Naperville.
Yes, it was.
However, I've seen Chesterton's show, and it is fantastic. So the fact that Waubonsie Valley was able to place above them at this competition just shows me that they are growing back to Providence or to greatness. So keynotes in the 4th spot. I actually kind of didn't see that happening. I actually probably had them in. I don't know. Our Ohio riders were all over me when I made my Ohio predictions. They were like, I literally stopped what I was doing because they were so wild. So this kind of makes sense. I don't really remember where I had them, but I think I had them kind of high. Best costumes and best overall performer. Great that they got these captions. Another thing is like every group in finals got a caption. So that's kind of a cool thing to note, that they were kind of spreading the love at Marysville.
Tay, anything that you want to say about this one?
I'm honestly, I don't know much about this comp, but it's really cool to see an indie comp represented here, Chesterton. I've not seen their show, but I know that they're really good. So congratulations to them getting in the top 3. And I also saw Olentangy on the Beaver Creek live stream. Congrats to them as well. They had a really good show. And Beaver Creek Friends as well. I remember, I think Beaver Creek Friends, isn't it like a Frankenstein show? Like their theme is like Frankenstein, or am I thinking of a different group?
I haven't seen them yet this year.
I've only seen like a small bit of them on the live stream, and it looked really cool. I've been wanting a Frankenstein show since my junior year of high school, and I finally got it, and I was like, this looks cool. Yeah, so that's all I have to say.
Phenomenal. Well, a couple of closing notes on this one. Beaver Creek has been one of those choirs that, Ethan, when you say the Ohio scene is just so chaotic, they've been right into the thick of it. Their highest placement of the year by far is when they left Ohio, and they were second at Ball State. In Ohio this year, they've been fourth, and fifth. So just all these groups coming in and out, and yet you can bank on Beaver Creek being somewhere in between 4th and 5th. Down the ballot, Twinsburg and Buckeye Valley taking a pair of really nice divisional wins. Buckeye Valley especially, this is a group that kind of floats in between small mixed and medium mixed a little bit, and they were able to win the small mixed division there. So shout out Visions, a different kind of Visions than what a lot of people might be talking about after this weekend. I see, Ethan, you have a very inspirational message on your whiteboard behind you that may be related to some sort of Visions, but shout out Buckeye Valley Visions as well.
No, not at all. I don't know where you get that at all. Can you not read it?
I can't read it.
I know it's tough to read. I'm not a really good writer anyway, but I bought the whiteboard for the live stream. Thought I would, why not implement it again? It just says good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Good night.
Which we will talk about on Wednesday. Maybe we will schedule that. We'll talk about it.
Yes. Wednesday night. But yeah, Grenada Visions, hashtag V4L, all my days. Sioux City East sing all about it. The results of this one: Mitchell Friendicu, vocals, choreo band, and of course the grand championship. Bishop Heelan Harmonia Mundi, 2nd place. Hastings Riverside Company, 3rd place. Elkhorn South Blackout, 4th place. Aberdeen Central Eagle Express, 5th place. Elkhorn South Shockwave, 6th place. Ethan, Mitchell just ripping up competitors left, right, and center. And we'll talk about this a bit in the preview portion, but this sets them up really well for this upcoming weekend, doesn't it?
Oh, it really does. It really, really does. And I mean, the fact that we have the opportunity to go see a show that turned a corner back on March 1st and is really pushing to be one of the best competition seasons that they've had. And it's kind of funny. It's another Stephen Todd group. I mean, we watched 2 completely different Stephen Todd groups last week. We will see a brand new one this week. I'll save that for the preview portion. Sioux City East, all about it. What a competition. When you and I were sharing the results during the live stream, it was almost like, did that just really happen? Now, no surprise that Mitchell took a win here. However, Bishop Heelan is the one that really caught everyone's eye in the 2nd place spot. They just got done with their trilogy of show choir shows from the Old Testament. So the fact that they are on to something brand new. What is it? I don't know. But the fact
the Everlasting Party, that's what they're on to.
Oh, so they go from the Old Testament to the Everlasting Party?
Yeah, that is I'd love to interview their director and be like, what was the thought process behind that big of a swing in the show design?
Because that is such a big decision. Everyone in your group is so used to what you've been doing, because I know it's a 3-part show choir show, technically, all just over 3 years. So the fact you go to a big party kind of show is a very big flip, but I guess it fits them very, very well. And their students are just loving it. Hastings in the 3rd spot, not where many people saw them. I don't know if anyone saw them in that spot. However, if Bishop Heelan really is that case, then there's 3rd place is fine. And then the Elkhorn you have Aberdeen Central splitting the Elkhorn South. It's always fantastic when you have two choirs in finals, and Elkhorn South did that. So amazing day at Sioux City East, seen all about it, who themselves is having a fantastic year.
Tay, anything that jumps out at you?
Not really anything, unfortunately, but it sounds like it was a really good comp, so that's awesome. All I know is Hendricken, they won, and I heard like they're a powerhouse and they're like continuously winning, and they got a bunch of the caption awards. And all I have to say is, slay the Boots house down. Amazing. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
For sure. Just a couple notes on my end of things. Going back to Bishop Heelan, I looked back a long, long ways to find when was the last time that Bishop Heelan beat a name as big as Hastings, and all of these were well before my time following show choir. So I don't know how great any of these comparisons are, but I can say definitively that this is at least the biggest win that Bishop Heelan has had in 10 years. The last even kind of major moment that I found was at the Dallas Center Grimes Take Two competition in 2014, where they took a GC over Prime Keokuk Purple Harmony, which was at that point in time directed by who else but former Mitchell director Nick McGraw. The other two I found, Heelan had a great 2010 season at West Liberty in 2010. They took a win over Prime Pella when Pella was in the midst of the Michelle Chaplin era. Just a great period for that show choir as well. And then Westwood in 2010, they beat Papillion La Vista South and Pascagoula Impact, which is a choir that no longer exists, but was directed by current pedal director Shauna Luckett. So Heelan, arguably their biggest moment in 15 years. And it's certainly not every week that we get to say that about a show choir. This is the best they've been in 15 years. So a huge, huge shout out to Harmonia Mundi as well. And also Elkhorn South Shockwave. They lost to Elkhorn South Power Surge last week, but they evened the score this week and made it into finals over Power Surge. Our last competition of the week that we will review is the Avon Vocal Invitational. The results of this one: Brownsburg Spotlight Singers and Company, Best Vocals and Best Choreo. Plainfield Ballet Beau, first runner-up Castle Night Sensations. Second runner-up Jenks Trojaneers. Third runner-up in the single gender finals, Brownsburg Starlight Voices, Best Vocals, Best Choreography, and the win. Plainfield Femme Fatale in second. Castle Night Sensations third. Jenks Airmen in fourth. For Brownsburg, this is the third straight year that they have won Avon Vocal Invitational and the seventh time in the past 9 years. So just an absolute string of dominance for Brownsburg. But besides that, Tay, you were the one who were there. What are a few of the things that you saw?
So, Beberg, congratulations on your sweep and your win. It was so exciting to see Brownsburg perform both groups. Their mixed group, they did a Copacabana show, so fun, and their Univoice group did a Charlie's Angels show, and both shows were amazing to see, and I was happy that they made finals so I can see them a second time because I love their shows. They were awesome.
Awesome. Can I ask you about Castle? I feel like Castle is a group that has very split opinions on it.
So Castle, there's been some times that they do make finals or they don't make finals, but this year both groups made it, and congratulations to the both of them for making it to finals. I absolutely love their Univoice group, the Nightingales, and their theme was kind of like woman's world. It was so cool to watch. The classic ball gowns and high kicks, always a classic. Absolutely loved it. And yeah, they had killer vocals, amazing choreo, and I was really happy that they got to make it to finals.
Awesome. Ethan, you were not there, but you did look at the results. What stands out to you in terms of the finalists, or maybe people who didn't make finals?
This is the third week in a row that we're talking about a Coco Cabana show. Yes, two from one. So it's kind of just like almost like a running joke. How much longer can we go with Coco Cabana? One thing that stands out to me is, first off, Brownsburg, amazing. I thought their show was fantastic at Glenwood. It has so much fun. Multiple people came to me and they said that was their favorite show the whole day. Their showmanship is truly, truly really good. Now, Tay, I have a question. When they did the Michael Jackson lean, did they stick it?
Okay,
You
so it's
remember.
kind of like back and forth for prelims and finals. There was two people who played, what was it, Rico and Tony, and I noticed that it was kind of back and forth. I think it was prelims, Tony nailed it, and then finals, Rico nailed it. But they did their best. I know it's difficult, but yeah, they did the best that they could.
Yes, because at Glenwood, it was like first show, one of them didn't hit it. This next show, they both hit it until like they came back up, and then but someone's foot was like still caught in it, so like they like tripped a little bit trying to get off the elevated riser. I just had to ask to see if that was still kind of the case. However, they do have a chance to clean that up at Noblesville, Indiana Show Choir Championships, which will they get to run into Carroll again. Carroll beginning of the year, Carroll at the end of the year. Their show is completely different from where it was at Homestead, where they had no placement. So the fact that they get to go up against a competitor that they went up against at Homestead to begin the year, that's going to be a really cool result that we need to keep our eyes on. Because, like we said, we've seen Carroll before. Fantastic show as well. So the fact that they're matching up will be super cool. Jinx getting fourth here might be somewhat of a surprise to me. However, I know how strong Indiana is. And once you get a group that's from Oklahoma who never goes up against these type of groups, you truly don't know what's going to happen. However, I think Castle, Plainfield, Brownsburg are three very, very, very strong groups. So Jinx should not hang their heads at all. And then, yeah, I mean, you got to talk about Lawrence North. I mean, they didn't make finals. Was it Lawrence North who had the guy from Glee come in? Matthew, what's his name?
I think LC, not
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was Central.
I know he was making laps around Indianapolis this past week, going to Carmel, so on and so forth. I mean, this is a tough final round. I know it's kind of like one of those less like jump out at you lineups. However, this is a very solid show choir competition at Avon. So, and sadly, one choir couldn't make it, right? I mean, we're kind of seeing that all over the place this season, where it's like finals at Chesterton, one group had to be left out. Finals at Avon, one group has to be left out, which is so tough. However, it's just the way it is. I know Lawrence North is a fantastic program. However, they should not be mad at their performance at Avon this past weekend.
Definitely. I loved watching Bella Vervada and Legacy. I was literally in awe at both of the groups, especially the little details they incorporate in their shows, like the blockings, the costumes. Like Bella Bravada, they added like a color guard like moment. They had like a flag twirl moment, and they also did this thing because their show was The Last Survivor, and they were like on a stranded island where they had their hair up in like ponytails. They ripped out their like hair ties and they smeared their lipstick to look like they were like on the island for a little bit longer and they were like going crazy. And you just gotta like appreciate the little details that they have. I'm really sad that they did not make it to finals, both groups, but they absolutely killed it. And shout out to Lawrence North for absolutely rocking the stage at AVI.
One final thing that I want to touch on to wrap this up. 10 out of 10 times I will take men's group show choir, dicing it up with the best of the women's show choirs. So I have to give a big shout out to Jinx Airmen. This is their first year as a group. So like you look at that show and you're like, that's pretty polished. That's pretty, nice. Would not expect that out of a first year group. So a big shout out to Jinx Airmen for being there in the finals as well. We're going to run through some rapid fire results from around the country, how this will go. Longtime viewers, you're very familiar with this. I will read off probably close to a dozen results, and then each of us will pick one and just talk about it a little bit before we head into the later parts of the show. So some miscellaneous results. Clinton Attaché, down in 2 categories after prelims, down in 0 categories after finals, full sweep over Petal and Tupelo at Biloxi. Lafayette Jefferson, split caption win over Carroll at Bishop Luers. They for 4 on best vocals captions so far this year. Linmar Feeder Middle School Excelsior Double Time wins the middle school only competition Cedar Rapids Xavier Extravaganza. Small women's group, Douglas S. Freeman, Harmony in Motion. Overall grand championship at Cosby Titan Tournament of Choirs, beating legions of mixed groups. Davenport Northside Establishment, avenging an earlier loss to Southeast Polk, taking a split caption win at Fort Madison, their 11th win at Fort Madison. Ben Davis Premiers, second win of the season for them, coming at the first annual New Palestine Clash of the Choirs. Gretna East Equinox, completing their season with their third win at the Omaha North Viking Cup. Broken Arrow Tiger Rhythm, cleaning out the South Lake Carroll Showdown in Texas. Rome Grand Finale, their second ever overall GC over Opelika and Turpin Springs at Tift County. And St. Thomas Aquinas Swinging Saints upsets not one but two different Joplin groups to win at Webb City. Tay, what is one out of that list that you want to talk about a little bit more?
Ben Davis, definitely. I remember back when I was in show choir, I hosted Ben Davis premieres, and I remember they didn't make finals, and we were all really upset. And then, like, as the years went by, they just kept growing and growing, and I'm so glad to see them getting a GC, and I'm so proud of them. It is amazing.
Ethan, what's one that you want to go for?
It's got to be Douglas S. Freeman. Gotta be Douglas S. Freeman. This is a huge win for them. Since 2023, the lowest placement they have ever gotten, at least in their division, was second, and it happened last year or the year before. And it was at Cosby where they lost to John Burroughs girls group. So the fact that they came in this year and won the whole competition is huge. Best vocals, best choreography, best band, show design, clean sweep throughout. Shout out Douglas S. Freeman, Harmony in Motion. Even in a director change year, is still putting on fantastic shows.
Absolutely. That was going to be one of my picks. The other one that I had as my backup, because someone always takes my first choice, is St. Thomas Aquinas Swinging Saints out of Kansas. Man, for a little bit, they were like the Kansas group. Before Blue Valley was a thing, this was like the okay. So very old heads know. But the OG Kansas show choir group was Wichita Flight. Mm-hmm. Ethan, I don't know if you ever competed again with Wichita Flight.
No.
I am shocked. I'm shocked and appalled that you never did. But Wichita Flight was the OG. Then for a hot second, it was St. Thomas Aquinas, and then Blue Valley came along and started stealing all the headlines. But St. Thomas Aquinas, very potent group. They ran a bit of a tough schedule this year. Only one previous finals appearance before this. Based out of Kansas City area, went down to Southwest Missouri where Webb City is, alongside Joplin, kind of nearby Neosho, and a couple of those other groups. And a lot of people were just expecting Joplin to win, but St. Thomas Aquinas said, no, you know what? We're here and we're playing and we're staying. So a big shout out to St. Thomas Aquinas. This is only their second overall grand championship. So big news on the St. Thomas Aquinas front. Tay did say it earlier. She is an indie show choir girl at heart. So we'll take a few moments in the middle of the show here to talk about Indiana. This is the busy season for Indiana. We have Isthmus dates and Noblesville coming up in just under 2 weeks' time. We have plenty of competitions to go around last week, this week, the weekend before, all of that. So in the midst of all of that, Tay, the first question I want to ask is, what are a couple of your favorite shows from this year?
There's so many. But some of my favorites, I got to go say this really quick, but Avon, both Accents and Attraction, I am so proud of them this year, especially with all their wins and stuff. They are killing it. I love the Olympic show that Accents does. So fun. The costumes look so good in person. Their show looks amazing in person. Same with Attraction as well. Much more sparklier costumes than on action shots and on live streams. And it is so cool to see them. I also really like Franklin Central FC Singers. Their show is called The Daughter of the Sea, and it is really beautiful. I love the incorporation of the lights that they used. I was at the CG comp, so I got to see that happen. I also really liked Center Grove Sound System and Center Grove Dead Tones as well. If you don't know me personally, I love tap, and Center Grove Sound System had a little tap incorporation. My heart, I literally was like, I was like, oh my gosh, they're tapping. Like, it was really exciting to see. And CG Debtones, their theme was Hello Dolly and Dolly Parton. And I love to see their colorful costumes, their incorporation of tumbling, and also a lot of fouette turn action and splits. It was so cool. The little dancer in me was literally like, these are amazing shows, and I'm so happy we get to see so much like different choreography that is much different than like normal show choir stuff. So it was really exciting to see.
Awesome. Another question that I want to ask. There are a lot of groups that are having much better seasons compared to last year. Just a few off the top of my head. Carroll, who I saw at Chesterton, Avon, who's been on a big winning streak, Lafayette Jefferson, who just took a win over Carroll, Fishers as well. What is, out of those four groups, let's say, what is one group that you've kind of followed and you think, yeah, like the hype is real around this group?
I think Avon and Fishers both. I did see Fishers Sound and Fishers Electrum in person at CG. Absolutely killing it, as always, especially Sound. And they have a Chapel Roan song in their, I think it's the closer. And I was like, oh, I wonder how they're going to incorporate that. And they killed it. And I was like, blown away. They did awesome. Avon, of course, yes, the winning streak. It is very exciting to see. Yeah, it's really exciting to see all these indie comps just winning and like having the best season. It's really exciting to see all this like show choir happiness.
Phenomenal. Ethan, anything you want to pipe in with?
Yeah, I feel like this year traveling, especially in the Midwest and competing against different choirs, has been huge this season. And I think Indiana has been one of the forefronts in that, and one of the states everyone wants to compete in. For example, Brandon Miller North, Linmar, Jinx this past weekend at Avon.
Horizon
Troy,
this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, Troy, Waltham from New England. For someone who doesn't live in the state of Indiana, I have been to Indiana competitions, but from you, one, if you've seen any of the shows, which one was your favorite? And two, what is the appeal of indie show choir competitions that makes these out-of-state groups come there?
Honestly, as someone who lives in Indiana, I am not sure. I'm not sure, honestly. I'm like, where do you guys come from? Why are you here? But it's really exciting to see new competition come in. It's so fun to see, like, especially Jinx. I was not expecting like an Oklahoma group. I was like, oh, this is probably a group from the Midwest. No, Oklahoma. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And they killed it and they made finals. I was really excited to see their show. I always have this little game that I play of whose ballad can make me cry the most. And Trojan Airs was very close to making me shed a tear. Nice. And it was very exciting to see an Oklahoma group at AVI. We had, I think, an Illinois group. I think it was Danville. At our first day was the small groups. Did not get to go, unfortunately, but I know that Danville did really good. So it's really exciting to see all these out-of-state choirs come in and like show us what they got and absolutely slay. It's exciting.
I play that game sometimes too at competitions of like whose ballad can make me cry the most. There was a very clear winner last week at Mount Zion. The winner of that game will not be made public because I don't want to embarrass myself like that. But yeah, you're not the only one who plays that game. We're going to talk about Lawrence Central because Lawrence Central has a few of these choirs that we just talked about. The field here in the large mixed division: North Central, Fishers, Plainfield, Castle, Ben Davis, Lawrence North, Whiteland, and Kokomo. In large women's, pretty much the same thing: NC, Fishers, Plainfield, Westfield, Castle, Ben Davis, Lawrence North, and Whiteland. Small mixed: Newcastle, New Palestine, and Garrett. And small women's is the new game: Newcastle, New Palestine, New Prairie, and Southmont. So many storylines here. We have a Fishers versus North Central rematch from Center Grove a month ago, a Plainfield versus Castle rematch from last week at Avon, Ben Davis coming off a win, Lawrence North coming off a finals miss. Can either of them make some noise? Tay, what are your thoughts about it as the local?
That's a lot. That's a lot of really good choirs. And also a lot of tap incorporation because Fishers and Center Grove also have tap in their show. That makes me very excited. What else? Yeah, it's very exciting to see matchups again. Maybe groups will have a second chance. We will just have to see, but I'm so excited to see how it turns out.
Ethan, anything that you especially are keeping your eye on?
We don't get a lot of opportunities, especially after a week like Indiana just had, where there's many different results that happen regarding these choirs, regardless of what they were, either GC's missing finals, a battle against one each other. They're all coming to Lawrence Central, regardless of where they were in the state. So this is going to be such a cool matchup. Ben Davis coming off a win. They can really prove something here. Fishers, they're riding a hot hand right now. They clearly have taken a step up this season. I can probably see them in the 1 through 3 range. Which order, I do not know. North Central, they are still in a transition year of sorts. So they are still trying to prove that they can contend with the best of Indianapolis, and this is a great opportunity for them to do so. This is going to be tight. I'm only going to do a top 3 because it's going to be wrong regardless. So 1, I'm going to have North Central. I think that they can step up to the plate at this competition. Them and Fishers is going to be tight. You have the choir's been around the longest with the most success. You have the fast rising choir and Fishers this year going head to head. I'm just going to give it to North Central. I'm going to have Fishers in the 2 and Plainfield in the 3.
Wait,
Do you want to do a 4 since 4 groups make finals?
Oh, you're right. Ooh. Lawrence North just missed finals. Ben Davis just won a competition. This is going to be tough. Like I said last week, hungry dogs run faster. However, sometimes you got to ride the hot hand. And the hot hand right now is Ben Davis. I'm going to go Ben Davis in the 4. Why not?
All right.
Random question. Is CG not at this comp, or am I thinking of a different comp that is on the list of what we're going to talk about?
Center Grove is actually at the next competition we're going to be talking about.
Oh, okay. Because I said CG, and I was like, you didn't reference CG, Ethan, and I was like, wait a minute. They're not going to this comp. They're not in this episode.
They will be. They will be just a little bit later. Boy, you know what? I got to give it to North Central, and here's why. I will give it to North Central because they have their men's group varsity singers performing earlier in the day. I think that performance is going to give the performers and counterpoints the juice to get over the top. Give me Fishers at the 2, Plainfield at the 3, and Castle at the 4. Castle has been having a better year this year than they were last year. One last note on Indiana. We do have a comment from this guy called Nathan. He sometimes comments into our shows. Indiana attracts groups with its impressively large auditoriums and venues, strong competition, and generally well-run competitions, almost always on time, and great vendor options. Well, I can tell you
Pretzels.
what. Ben's Pretzels, defending Homie Award winner for Best Comp Food. Large auditoriums have experienced that twice so far this year. We'll probably experience it a third time by the time competition season is over. You might catch me at Pike or Franklin Central here in a couple weeks. Otherwise, almost always on time. Boy, Ethan, that is certainly a thing that they have above some other regions, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, this weekend, wash that clean, man. Wash that clean. We got to experience a well-run Mount Zion competition that finished early almost. It was pretty much almost early.
No, it was like 20 minutes. It was like 20 minutes late.
Yeah, but getting out before 12, we were done 20 minutes before 12. So is that a win?
No, if getting out before midnight is your baseline, that just shows how low it is.
Well, see where everyone else is. El Paso, Glenwood, Wheaton.
Yeah. And
yeah.
we can have an argument about this tomorrow night off camera. That's fine.
Yeah, but I mean, that was a pretty well ran Mount Zion competition, Illinois competition.
It was.
I'm not comparing the two, but I'm just saying, like, this week was definitely a step up time wise.
It was. Some of us managed to salvage a little bit of sleep. Some of us did not. Regardless, we're going to move on to the Fairfield Crystal Classic. The large mixed division in this one, Grove City, Loveland, Marysville, Center Grove, and Zionsville. Medium mixed, Edgewood, Robert C. Byrd, and Lebanon, Ohio. Small mixed, South Dearborn, Pike, Buckeye Valley, Norwood, Ravenswood, Sissonville, Whitehall Yearling, Peoria, and Ross. And in the women's division, Center Grove, Loveland, Zionsville, and Marysville. The finals format for this competition, 5 finalists out of the combined large mixed and medium mixed, 3 single gender finalists, and 6 small mixed finalists. So the biggest finals is in small mix. Tay, yes, this is the competition Center Grove is at.
Yay! Okay, it was not an LC CG crossover. That's okay. I'm so excited for Zionsville and CG. They both incorporate tap, and I'm very excited to see this tap showdown. It's super cool. I also saw Zionsville at CG as well. They have such a fun show. I could not stop smiling watching it. It was so fun. What else? They got these really cool costumes, especially in the second half. Very vibrant, very fun. I'm very excited to see how it goes. Yeah.
Ethan, what jumps out at you?
I mean, just seeing Loveland, I feel like this is a choir that can actually make some noise at this competition. It'll be super hard. I mean, like we said, this region is just so tough on so many levels. Single gender and mixed and small mixed. It is just super, super hard and difficult to get a leg up on anyone. Throwing Center Grove and Zionsville into this is super fun. It's different. It's unique. It's going to be a tough battle between Marysville and Center Grove, I think. And I do think maybe one other choir can make a jump and maybe surprise some people. Just looking at it, I'm just going to go 5 finalists for Tier 1, correct?
And Tier 1 and Tier 2, yeah.
Okay. Oh, wow. So Edgewood, Robert C. Byrd, and Lebanon can throw a wrench into all of this. I am thinking I'm just going to go Center Grove with the win, Marysville in 2. However, I think Marysville has a really good shot of winning this competition. These 2 choirs have just had fantastic seasons, and I mean, who truly knows how it's going to go out? Even if they get second at this competition, it's almost like somewhat of a win because, you just went up against one of the best choirs in the country, regardless of which one. In the 3, I'm going to go Grove City. Fantastic choir. They are growing in Ohio. They've always been on the doorstep knocking on it to break through. I think this is a competition that might raise some eyebrows, especially if they beat Zionsville and Loveland. In the 4, I'm going to go Zionsville, and the 5, I'm going to go Loveland. However, I was really impressed with Loveland's show, and they could definitely make some noise here. And it'll be very interesting to see if Paxton Mertz can hold on for the last competition as the best male soloist.
You want to take shots at single gender finals or small mixed finals?
Oh, my goodness. Single gender is going to be so tough, especially after this weekend. Loveland Allure, fantastic show. Their dolly set is just so much fun the whole time. That wrecking ball medley dance break with the smoke machines and all of it truly makes the show pop. I think Debtones is going to take it. I really don't know where to throw Marysville Swinger Select into this because I've seen all these other shows. Basically, I'm going to go Loveland Allure in the 2, Zionsville in the 3. I'm going to go Marysville in the 4. I think that's how I'm going to have it shake out. And yes, Dolly versus Dolly is going to be so much fun. Just because, they contrast, right? I'm pretty sure Loveland does a whole Dolly set. I don't know if Center Grove does a whole Dolly set. It's just incorporated within it, right?
Partially. The first half is Hello Dolly, and then the second half is Dolly Parton. So it's both dollies.
Okay, yeah. I see it now. So that's how I think it's gonna shake up. This is gonna be really tight. It's gonna be really tight, Will.
It will be. We have a comment that says, based on state rankings, it's Indiana's number 1 and number 4 versus Ohio's number 2, number 3, and number 6 groups in large mix. Now, those are last week's rankings, before the antics and shenanigans of this weekend went down. Not a ton else to say. I feel like you guys hit on a bunch of the big points, so I'll just go straight into my predictions. Large mixed, Center Grove, sweep, clean it up, vocals, choreo, they're probably not eligible for band. I'll give Grove City the 2. No, Marysville the 2. Give me Grove City the 3. Loveland the 4 with band, and Zionsville at the 5. I just don't think any of the medium mixed choirs are going to have the juice to make it happen. In the women's division, give me Center Grove Debtones, and then just like a half step behind Loveland Allure, and then actually give me Marysville Swingers Select in the 3. Marysville Swingers Select has been really great for a first-year group. And so for them to close out their season with a big, big opportunity like this to make it happen, really rooting for them to try and make the most of that opportunity. Looking at small mixed, man, this is just a total toss-up. When we look at the groups in this small mixed division, Ross has had pretty consistent success in Ohio small mix this year. South Dearborn has an overall GC in Indiana this year. We were just talking about Buckeye Valley earlier. Pike made some noise at Chesterton earlier this year. Ravenswood has been a little bit off and on this year. So Peoria just made overall finals this past weekend. So if I had to do an overall 6, now it's going to really depend on if they assess time penalties or not, because if they assess time penalties, Peoria is killed, no question about it. But assuming they don't assess time penalties, give me Ross at the 1, South Dearborn at the 2, Ravenswood at the 3, Pike at the 4, Peoria at the 5, and Buckeye Valley at the 6. And that is just going to be the absolute worst set of predictions anyone has ever made. And I'm going to get the same text, Ethan, that you got last week that said that our Ohio listeners just stop what they do when they get to this part of the show, because they know it's going to be insane and crazy and totally off base. But you know what? It is what it is, and that's what it's going to be. We'll move on now to the Bishop Hendricken Lil Rhodey Rumble. All of a sudden, we've got I think this year we've got 4 boxing themed comps, because last week we had the Raymore Peculiar Battle for the Belt, and then we also have the Blue Valley Tiger Takedown, and we have the OG boxing comp, Naperville North Clash of the Sequins. Now we have the Bishop Hendricken Lil Rhodey Rumble, and we've got some heavyweights going at it in this one. All 6 of New England's large mixed groups are here. And who are those, you may ask? I'm happy to answer that hypothetical question for you. They are Waltham Music Unlimited, Daniel Hand Vibe, South Windsor Choral Spectrum, Lowell Sound Impressions, Andover, Tantasqua. That was 6. I had 7 fingers. Oh, and Pendleton Heights making the trip from Indiana in large mixed. We'll talk about Pendleton Heights in a little bit. Small mixed. Oliver Ames Panache, Dartmouth Dynamics, Leominster Ignition, Scranton First Edition, Hillsborough Legacy, Waltham Music Express, and Pendleton Heights Added Attraction. Single gender. Somerset Berkeley Amplified, Pendleton Heights, Emerald Suites, and New Edition. Lowell Sound Stations. Both Andover groups, Nothing But Trouble and Back to Basics, Scranton Glitter and Gold, and Shepherd Hill Illusion. Everybody from New England is here. You also throw in Pendleton Heights, first big traveler to New England this year. We'll see Mantino in a few weeks as well. Ethan, this is looking like a drop down, drag out, large mixed division fitting for a boxing comp.
No, yeah, this is perfect for their boxing theme. First off, amazing name for a show choir competition. I feel like we said that last year as well. I mean, it just never gets old saying it.
Was it nominated for best comp name last year in our Homie Awards?
It had to be, and it might have won. I'm pretty sure it won. It'd be, or if it wasn't, it was a close 2. This is going to be very interesting. These choirs love to go at each other. These choirs have won and lost to each other. Then you throw in Pendleton Heights into the mix. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to go Waltham at the 1. I don't know how it's really going to play out because Vibe most recently bested them. So it'd be super cool to see Waltham, get it back, because that's just what they do. It's just what they do. You never really know who's going to get it between these two groups until it happens. I'm going to go Waltham 1, Daniel Hand vibe. 2 with band. And then 3, I'm going to go Lowell. And then in sound impressions, 4th, I'm going to go South Windsor. I believe Lowell beat South Windsor earlier in the season. I'm kind of riding that same boat. So I'm just going to keep it the way it is. South Windsor, fantastic choir, and they can definitely jump up into this competition. In my 5, I'm going to have Pendleton Heights. I just don't know where they really match up between these choirs. I know they're majority a tier 2 choir in the state. I know they've gone up recently, and they were in the top division. I believe getting like 3rd places, I believe, against like Danville, Castle, so on and so forth. So I'm just going to have them in the 5, and then the 6, I'm going to have Andover, who, by the way, I think is having a great year this year. So they can definitely jump a few of these choirs.
Pendleton did have a tough week this week, placing 3rd behind Danville and Mooresville at AVI. So you are correct there. And I did run the research. This is the reigning champion of the best competition name winner in our Homie Awards, the Bishop Hendricken Lil Rhodey Rumble. Boy, yeah, lots and lots of storylines to talk about in large mixed. Tay, I'll do mine, and then I'll circle back to you. I feel like New England's had a bit of a gap. Like they had Shep and Tantascwa and then a break. And then some people were at Somerset and a couple of people were at Leominster this past week. But this is really like everyone's second half of the season begins here because you have this, you have Andover, and then you have Waltham kind of to close out the stretch run of the season. Give me Waltham at the 1. Give me Daniel Hand at the 2. Give me some kind of caption split between them. Who gets vocals and who gets choreo and who gets band. I'm going to throw my hands up in the air and say all I know is that neither of these groups will take all 3. There will be a split between them. Honestly, I'm looking at Pendleton Heights here as maybe like a sleeper 3. I think it's super hard to tell how results in one circuit translate to results in another circuit. But give me Pendleton at the 3, give me South Windsor at the 4, Lowell at the 5, Andover at the 6, and Tantascwa at the 7. In terms of small mixed, just so much going on here. I feel like Scranton is really the only like known quantity in this field, and then there are just so many unknowns. So I'll give it to Scranton. They're coming off a bit of a tough week at Cosby. But I'll take Scranton at the 1. I'll take Dartmouth at the 2. Waltham Music Express at the 3. Pendleton Added Attraction 4. Hillsborough 5. Leominster 6th. And Oliver Ames in 7th. And then for single gender, give me Pendleton Emerald Suites and then the field because I really would be way out of my depth talking about that. So Tay, both of us have said a lot. Do you have anything else that you want to add to this?
First of all, the comp name, somebody was cooking with gas, fire, and edible glitter because that is such a good comp name. Not much to say about like the people competing, but I know that Pendleton Heights will be there. I have not seen Pendleton's, but I've seen bits and pieces of Emerald Suites, and their show looks amazing. Their costumes, chef's kiss. They're adorable. They're awesome. They're Mean Girls and Heather's themed. Need I say more? They look so cool. And is Mount Zion competing at this comp?
No.
They're not.
It was a different comp I was thinking of.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a different comp. I accidentally put them on the Bishop one. Oops.
That's all right. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, I know Pendleton's competing, and I think they're going to do pretty good. I know that they kind of had a little bit of an iffy moment at AVI, but I really do think that they are a really good group, like both groups are. And we'll just have to see how it turns out, because the thing at AVI, but they've been doing well from what I've heard this season. So we'll just have to see.
All right. Well, we have just a couple moments left in our podcast. Originally, we had a Wheaton Warrenville South preview on the show sheet. I just don't feel comfortable trying to squish that into about 3 minutes. because there are about 20 bajillion different storylines going on. But Ethan and I will be on later in the week. We'll talk about it then. Tay, any quick Wheaton Warrenville South thoughts that you want to share?
I was looking at showcar.com of who is competing. Kid you not, that was a lot of scrolling and seeing who is competing. I'm very excited to see how it turns out. Not much to say, but all I know is that it's going to be crazy. There's so many. Very excited to see the turnout. Yay!
We do have a comment in the chat here that says, I'm excited to see the only head-to-head competition for Bishop Heelan, Harmonia Mundi, and Sioux City East headliners at Westwood this weekend. Both groups have almost identical statistics. And circling back to what we said earlier, if Bishop Heelan could somehow take the win here, I think they'd be a shoo-in for our Giant Slayer Homie Award coming up in just a couple weeks here. But even if they finish a very solid second, also Omaha South is going to be at Westwood as well. So Ethan, any thoughts about the Westwood Jubilation competition in Sloan, Iowa this weekend?
Yeah, I've been saying it for like 5 weeks. Omaha South is definitely a dark horse in every single competition. You never really know where they're going to place. They could place up to 2 through 6 at any given moment. However, last week, amazing outing with a second place, losing only to Grenada East was best vocals. They took best choreography, best band, costumes, ballad, best performer from an amazing choir like Grenada East. They could definitely make some noise at Westwood this weekend and surprise Bishop or Sioux City East.
We also have some groups like Bellevue West, who's been a pretty consistent finalist contender this year. Sioux Center and Spirit Lake renewing what I feel like is the oldest rivalry in Iowa 3A show choir. And also Logan Magnolia, who had a finals appearance a couple weeks ago at Vermilion. With that being said, it is the top of the hour and we are out of time. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in with us tonight. Tay, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. It was so fun.
Again, Ethan and I will be back live on the air this week, Wednesday, probably either 6 o'clock Central or 6:30 Central, somewhere in that time frame. We'll talk Mount Zion. I guess now we're going to be talking Wheaton Warrenville South because we ran behind this episode. It's the busy season. It's busy season in Illinois. But with that being said, have a great night, and we will see you right back here on Wednesday.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Read the board. See ya.
Read the board if you could read it.